What's up, guys? Welcome to the Post Pro Podcast Halloween special. It's in the middle of July, episode 15 of the Post Pro Podcast. I don't know why we're doing Halloween special, but here we are.
Yeah.
But how's everyone doing, guys?
Pretty good. I had
feeling pretty spooky.
Pretty awful. I tortured myself this week, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know what you expected from some of the films you watched, but I guess we'll talk about it.
So let's hop right into movie news. I think obviously the thing we've been following the entire history of this Post Pro podcast, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. It's been delayed several times, and now it's delayed indefinitely.
Good rip.
It's quite the bummer, but I mean, I feel like they got to do it because there's no way it's going to be released on VOD or streaming. There's no way Christopher Nolan would allow that.
There was too much of a budget for it to be released on that stuff too. I don't think Netflix or any streaming company would just be like, yeah, we'll pay off your budget real quick. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Netflix does have that $200 million movie that they've greenlit, but I mean, still.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan cannot fundamentally agree.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan could not handle that.
It has to
he
be
wants
in
his movies.
It has to be in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then there's the whole thing going on. They're talking about staggered releasing now, because US, which could be a interesting way of doing things. I haven't read too much into it, but people are saying this could be the new norm to how movies are released from now on if it proves successful.
So what is it?
So instead of having it domestically released first,
and
then having it debut overseas in the bigger international markets as well, not too long after, they're doing they'll have it here, and then they'll do it here, and then they'll do it here, and then they'll do it there.
That's interesting, but I don't think I like it that much.
It's kind of problematic when you look at it because well, first of all, the United States doesn't look like we're going to be opening theaters anytime soon, especially here in Florida. And then China, which is the number one international box office grossing spot, they've just implemented a new rule for theaters to where if a movie is over 2 hours, you can't play it in theaters during this time.
What?
So they're either having to cut it or trim the movie, or they're just not going to release it in China.
Yeah, he was part A of Tenet, and now you have to come back in an hour.
Come back for the last half hour.
The intermission.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Hateful Eight, right? Hateful Eight had an intermission, right?
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
But, I mean, it's just kind of silly. I don't know what 30 more minutes of being in a theater will do to prevent COVID, honestly. But, I mean, they do whatever
they have more details than us. They know more about travel time and such.
And it's a weird half measure, but I mean, it's better than I think just being play whatever you want. I don't really care. Theaters are open.
Yeah.
But
I mean, obviously Tenet's going to come out in theaters at some point. It's just when that's going to be and how long it's going to be from now, which is the big scary question going in the air.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because I think Nolan's past 3 or 4 movies have all been released in the last week of August. So
or July.
What's he gonna do?
Yeah, last week of July is what I meant. But it would be interesting if he just pushed it off an entire year. But I don't know if he really wants to do that because he's very fixated on.
Yeah, they'd have to spend more money on
the movie's done too.
Yeah, I mean it's done. We all know it's done. It's supposed to have been released months
Fast
ago at this point.
Fast 9 is
ridiculous.
Basically done at this point, and they pushed it an entire year. So, and they pushed it much earlier than.
We were one of the first ones to say, okay,
exactly.
Back.
Yeah, which brings me to the movie news. So I find it interesting how, speaking of VOD, Bill and Ted today, this is breaking, is just going to get pushed to VOD on September 1st, and I'm very excited.
Select theaters releases too, so it might play at the Enzian.
Yeah, it probably is going to do a little indie theater tour probably.
Mm-hmm. Which I'd go see it.
I mean, I'm going to go see it, yeah. But, I'm excited because that was one of the movies I really did want to see this year. And I'm very glad that at least I get to see one movie because that's seriously there hasn't been much that has come out. So it's just good to finally see one movie I actually care about, coming out this year.
Wait, did you see Scoob, though?
Talked about the podcast,
I don't want to talk about Scoob. I don't want to talk about Scoob. Anyway, so Bill and Ted. I think most of us here are pretty excited to see that. Very excited for that. Then me being big Star Wars fan, lifelong Star Wars fan, there is a lot of pretty much confirmed, basically rumors of the Lando Calrissian show coming to Disney Plus, and it is going to be a solo follow-up starring Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and then probably Alden Ehrenreich, or however the hell you pronounce his last name, returning as Han. And
is it going to be like a sort of limited series, like what they're doing with the Marvel shows?
From a lot of the sources, it's going to be like they're probably going to give it a season and see how it does, because there's a lot of people that have been pushing recently for a sequel to Solo, so it only makes sense. Yeah, it only makes sense for them, because I mean, I would rather see it in TV show form anyway, because it gives more story and a lot more time. Yeah, I would rather see it a Disney Plus show. I mean, The Mandalorian was fantastic, so I definitely think this is a good step forward for Disney. But anyway,
considering where they left off with the Solo movie.
Yeah, I want to know what happens to Kira. They haven't explained what happens to Darth Maul. Spoilers. They haven't really explained what happens to Darth Maul in that period of time, so it'd be interesting to figure out. Anyway, and then the last thing I thought I would mention, just because, Dave Franco of Franco fame, he is going to be making a movie about Vanilla Ice Baby, and he is going to star as Vanilla Ice in a biopic. And I'm assuming A24, because he's in the article, it talks about how it's going to have like the same writing team as Disaster Artist and stuff. So I can only assume it's going to be an A24 movie. So we have that to look forward to.
I'll go pretty fast here with my movie news. So I guess I'll start off with the Martin Scorsese, new director, or directing a new movie. Jamie Foxx playing the lead about Mike Tyson. It's a Mike Tyson biopic with Jamie Foxx playing the lead with Mike Tyson on set for it too.
That's what Jamie Foxx has been doing? I didn't know that was Scorsese. Holy shit. Yeah, because I saw Jamie Foxx's Instagram, and he was talking about he was showing all the pictures of like him getting buff and stuff.
Yeah. So he's doing that.
Same with Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson's coming out of retirement for fighting.
And then I don't know if you guys saw this trailer. There's this trailer for this new movie called Waiting for the Barbarians. Johnny Depp, Robert Pattinson. Looks really good.
Wait. Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp and Robert Pattinson.
Wait, has this movie been in development, or is
the trailer dropped?
No. I mean, like, did they make it like years ago when the whole Johnny Depp sexual allegation stuff came aboard, and it's like a finished movie?
I think this was made like last year.
Because do you guys remember City of Lies? I think it was called. Yeah. It was. It never came out.
Yeah.
Because of the whole sexual allegations with Johnny Depp. It was Forrest Whitaker and Johnny Depp about the Biggie and Tupac murders.
They looked interesting when
it looked, and people saw it.
Yeah. It got like I think it was just like screening or early access, and that was it.
Festival release maybe.
Well, you guys should watch the trailer for Waiting for the Barbarians. Looks good. I'd like to see your guys' opinion on it. And then the last piece of movie news I have is Taron Egerton to star in a Tetris movie. But not like a movie. Well, no, not a movie about the game, right? Not a movie about the game, but the guy who made Tetris.
Okay.
Wasn't that like not Taron Egerton, but like a Tetris movie that's like not based on Tetris, but like is about Tetris or like whatever. Like that was like literally announced like 3 years ago or something, and I was like,
well, now we have the star.
Yeah, but like maybe.
I was reading the article about it, and it actually sounds pretty interesting. No. So I'm looking forward to seeing
At first, I was thinking like something.
Me too.
That's what I was thinking. Tetris, the movie. Giant blocks come falling from the sky.
It's literally it's 2 hours of watching Taron Egerton play Tetris.
I mean,
one shot.
And then I have a fun movie detail. This isn't really news, but the word "fuck," "man," or "dude" is said about every 12 seconds in The Big Lebowski. So every 12 seconds you watch that film, one of those words is said.
Alrighty.
I guess that makes sense.
And
that's accurate.
That's it for me on movie news, so we can get started on what we watched this week. Whoa, welcome back, Collin, to the Wacky Post Pro podcast.
Halloween special, whoa!
Yeah, Halloween special, yes.
Okay.
Too far.
I think only two of us really followed the Halloween special theme.
I mean, the only real movies that I watched were pretty much horror movies. In usual Thomas fashion, in recent post-pro episodes, I did not watch that much. Only got 3 in.
We forgive.
Yeah, I am slacking recently. Don't forgive me.
Okay.
No shit. Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about these real quick. I watched Deathgasm, the other movie Sebastian was thinking of recommending. And I mean, like, it is fine. I didn't like it. I'm really into metal, so is Sebastian. I think we're definitely both into pretty different sects of metal. I don't think either of us are really, really into super heavy death metal that, like, the 2 leads in here are playing. Like, I don't think you and I had listened to Cal Decapitation.
No, I only listen to Cannibal Corpse. That's this.
Yeah, I listen to a little Cannibal Corpse. I'm really like deathcore. Like when I saw the Whitechapel poster, I was like, yeah. Wait, okay, not that. Fucking that. Dude, I do it all the time. Ever since I went to Hawaii, it's always this.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny, but I feel like most of the reason it's funny is because it's like really teetering on it's so bad it's good territory. Where, I mean, like, it kind of makes sense why you rate it so highly because you also give The Room perfect 5 out of 5. And
I genuinely didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought it was like I honestly like really enjoyed that movie. It's so wacky. It's so over the top.
It's so tropey though. Like every other minute there's like some crazy trope. But I will say that I think the practical effects are really good, especially for the budget. Besides like the big final like monster, I really kind of wish that was a bit more grand. And I think there were a lot of moments where that like the little mold that they had just didn't work for me. Yeah, I don't know. All that movie taught me is that the next girl that I really like, I'm just gonna walk up and give her a Cal Decapitation CD. That's gotta work, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Then I watched Ice Cream Man, the new iDubbbz documentary, which iDubbbz is kind of surprising me right now because he's like being a really, really quality filmmaker between this and Full Force. Between this and Full Force, it's kind of crazy. Like there's some actual really quality like documentary.
I love Full
filmmaking.
Force.
It's easy. I think Full Force is like a solid 4.5 out of 5 if it was on Letterboxd. I definitely think Full Force is a lot better than Ice Cream Man. There's like the iDubbbz does a really good job at like just showing Dax Flame's life, making sure he doesn't like just seem like kind of a loser, which I think that's one of Full Force's issues is that it wasn't really nice to
Airsoft
Fatty.
Yeah.
But Airsoft Fatty isn't really nice in himself. This really like showcased that Dax Flame is still a really genuine dude. I also really hope that I didn't lose his job after this being released. So
hey, Collin, do you I think you should check out the documentary that he put out because Dax Flame has been in like a lot of like Hollywood movies and it's just pretty interesting to see how he was in both 22 Jump Street and then
he was in 4 big Hollywood productions. Yeah. I looked it up.
I don't even know who that is.
He was an old school YouTuber.
Okay.
Old school YouTuber, like beginning of YouTube.
2007, he was popping. It's good though, and like I think the only big issue with it is that just the actual game show, Smoothie Madness is just. I think that there's a really solid idea, and I feel like if they give Dax Flame like a real like creative team to work with him, I feel like it could be really well done and really well made to the point where it could even be on the air. But I feel like they didn't put enough work and effort into like make it something quality that anyone else.
I mean, you can't blame iDubbbz because iDubbbz would have had to put in so much money just for the documentary for that little part. You know,
I don't blame him. I just wish it was better, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing where it's like, sure, this is technically a budget restraint, but it's one of the reasons I didn't like it as much as I did. But I still enjoyed it. And I think the first 35 minutes were actually really like a solid 4.5 until Smoothie Madness happened. And Smoothie Madness isn't even awful. It's not great. And then I watched Trick or Treat, which we'll talk about later. All right. And after that, we go on to Noah Burkhart.
All right. So the last movie I watched last week was Snatch. Wait, I did talk about Snatch last week.
Yeah, you talked about it, because I talked about The Gentleman.
Yeah.
And then you watched The Gentleman.
Yeah, directly after that, I watched The Gentleman, which is bad, but whatever. After that, I watched Prisoners, which is my last Denis Villeneuve English language, like American.
I don't think that's how you pronounce it. Denis Villeneuve? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's Villeneuve.
Yeah, maybe it's Denis.
I think it's Villeneuve. I think.
I don't know his last name. I'm pretty sure his first name is Denis.
Yeah, it is Denis.
Huh. It's Denis Villeneuve. Villeneuve, there you go. Villeneuve.
Oh, damn. Well, yeah, you guys are way closer than I had ever pronounced it.
Yeah, because
Denis Villenueve.
Yeah,
it's French, I believe. It's French, right?
Yeah, it's French Canadian.
It has to be.
French Canadian, yeah, exactly.
It's French. I thought it was just French.
Yeah, I thought it was too, and then I looked at his other movies, and I was like, oh, these are like French Canadian, and he's French Canadian. Weird. Huh.
It makes sense.
I mean, to a certain extent. But yeah, I thought he was like a weird like French filmmaker who then moved to America and started making like more commercial blockbusters. But no, he was just like French Canadian. Yeah, he was just French Canadian, and he made like really weird movies. And then
so he's only half weird. He's only half weird.
Yeah, he's not that weird.
But like French movies are weirder than Canadian movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was born in Quebec.
Great. Anyway, Prisoners, good. Definitely not my favorite, Denis, but whatever. Next watch, Gravity, continuing my, I guess, slow burn Quaron binge. Kind of paradox. I guess it's not slow burn and a binge. Can't be both of those things, but those are the words I used. It's good, I guess. I don't really know what to say about it. It's just kind of one of those movies that is like so based around, like it's just doing one thing, which is like, Sandra Bullock is in space and she has to get back to Earth.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off, but speaking of Gravity, I went to LA and I went to the Warner Brothers studio, and they had this whole part of the tour where you got to like go in the sound stage where they did all the sounds for Gravity, and they had like a whole demo of like all of like the sounds and like the sounds that they used in Gravity and how they made them and how they produced them. And it was just really cool because that's like the only thing I really like about the movie is the technical aspects of it. Because I think the movie itself is really boring, but like the sound is incredible. So
I definitely am like sort of between the two of you, Collin and Sebastian, where like, and obviously like I watched it on my laptop, so I'm sure if I had seen it in IMAX, it would have, been better.
I saw it in theaters when it came out, which was awesome.
Yeah,
I did too.
I definitely think it's a much more technically impressive movie than anything else. But obviously, like, it's definitely trying to be like more technically impressive than anything else. It only really has 2 actors, and then like voices and bodies and stuff like that.
And Sandra Bullock screaming.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't think she was. I thought she was good. I didn't think she was great or anything, but yeah, I mean, I liked her performance. I guess.
Didn't she win an Oscar for it?
No.
She was nominated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe nominated.
That movie like was nominated for so much.
Yeah, pretty much all the technical awards.
Yeah, and it deserved it all.
I mean, we watched half of it in my in one of my film classes. I think it was sound editing or sound design.
The sound is amazing. It's fascinating. Like because
just panning and all that stuff.
Just how they like did all the sounds to that, because if you really think about it, like there's really no sound in space, so them doing all of like these crazy, ridiculous, like realistic space sounds is pretty crazy.
Yeah, because they capture like reverberations and vibrations rather than just
and definitely like a lot of the sound comes in when like people are either touching things or when they're inside of whatever it happens to be, like the capsule or the station. Or
yeah, it's no Star Wars with explosions in space and crazy lasers.
Exactly. Which I definitely, like I said, like I like a lot of technical aspects, and that's one of the parts that I liked. Didn't love it, but that's fine. Watched Shoplifters next from a couple of years ago. Pretty highly rated, which I don't really disagree with. I think it's a pretty good movie. I guess I kind of have the Gravity takeaway where I liked it a lot, but it never really transcended for me, which I kind of went in thinking that it might, because a lot of people really like it, and I was just this is pretty good, and I think it's really weird comparing it to Parasite, which I saw Parasite first because one of them, Shoplifters, is Japanese and Parasite is Korean, but they're both very ensemble-y, based around a family who's lower class, and sort of how that dooms them in a way. And I just thought it was a very interesting comparison, and I couldn't really help but comparing it to Parasite. And I was Parasite was definitely a lot better. So
I saw Shoplifters first, and that was a while before I saw Parasite. So I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned it. So.
Travel was definitely a film I've been interested in for a while.
I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as its reputation shows, but
yeah, which I kind of agree with. Next I watched Young Adults, which was another. So last week I talked about Tully. This was another Jason Reitman, Charlize Theron, Diablo Cody collaboration, which actually came out before Tully, for like 7 years. I think I like it more than Tully. I mean, I definitely like both of those movies a lot, and I think both of them are sort of like my type of bullshit in a way.
Yeah.
Somewhat weird takes on like a rom-com, and they're like weird indie movies. And I haven't seen any other Jason. Well, I've seen Juno, which is also written by Diablo Cody, but I haven't seen any Jason Reitman movies that were not written by Diablo Cody. So I don't really know if like what's working for me is the Jason Reitman of it or the Diablo Cody of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know.
I kept thinking you said Tammy, and I kept thinking of that really shitty Melissa McCarthy movie.
Wow, okay. I haven't even heard of that, but you know.
So I was reading
keep it that way.
Yeah, keep it that way.
Okay.
I was reading the description for Young Adult. All I'm saying is I really hope Charlize Theron, I'm sure it's Patrick Wilson, but I really hope she was trying to reconnect with Patton Oswalt and trying to date him.
No, that would have been really funny. Did you read like the entire synopsis or just like...
No, just
like
a
brief,
divorced
like, 2
writer
sentences?
from the Midwest. Yeah, just 2 sentences.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I mean, you can tell a lot just by the poster itself.
No, you definitely... I mean, yeah, you can. I think it... And I was honestly expecting to like it less.
Wait, J.K. Simmons is... J.K. Simmons is he's Marvis publisher. He's a voice, and he's uncredited.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? I do not like... But okay, if he was a voice, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an uncredited voice. That's kind of fun.
She has like 2 phone calls with him, and both times she's basically like telling him to fuck off, and it's like, 2 sentences. So it didn't really strike me. Although I feel like I do recognize.
Yeah.
We'll give you $1 million for your voice. We'll give you $1 million.
No, he definitely
Thomas.
does, which is, I guess, weird that I didn't recognize it.
Thomas, tell us the fun fact again. Do it.
J.K. Simmons is Yellow M&M.
Is he really? I didn't know that.
We talked.
Did we talk about that? I don't ever remember.
I say that so often. That like literally on my first.
He said this like 5 times.
Yeah, on my first day working at Regal, I literally walked in and I was like, "Hey, do you guys know that J.K. Simmons is the Yellow M&M?" And I think that perfectly just established who I was to you guys.
I didn't meet you the first. I met you much later.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't meet you.
Heard you say that before.
Yeah, I met you like a weekend. Yeah.
Really?
J.K. Simmons is the Yellow M&M. Well, it was probably more like a month then, to be honest. You were never out of box.
Yeah, I know. I was stuck down there.
Yeah, all right.
Movie theater talk.
No, it's fine. I love hearing this stuff.
They know who we are.
Anyway, my final thought on Young Adult, which I guess kind of ties into my next movie, honestly, is just that Charlize Theron is a really good actor. And I've only seen like 4 or 5 of her movies, but she's like easily the best part of like every movie that I've seen her in. And she's just like really naturalistic. And like, especially in Young Adult, where she's acting against Patton Oswalt, who was like very, like, a comedic actor who was like trained in comedy first and then like became an actor. It's very evident that like, oh, Charlize is like really, really like one of the best actors alive today.
She's the only good part of Atomic Blonde.
I was thinking about watching that, but then I was like, yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like I would have your takeaway. Yeah,
that's it.
I don't know. I'll probably watch it sometime soon.
Really?
But, I mean, if she's good.
Atomic Blonde has a good cast, though. I mean, James McAvoy, John Goodman, Bill Skarsgård.
It's trying to. It's just basically a female John Wick, but not as good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say and the other thing I've heard about it is like the plot is just like incomprehensible.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, okay. So next movie, The Old Guard, the new Netflix Charlize Theron movie. Interestingly enough, which I was planning on watching it eventually, obviously, but I only really like watched it this week just because like I had seen Young Adult like a couple of hours ago, and I was like, might as well. I think she's really good. Again, my main takeaway for this movie is she's really good, and I mean, much like we were just talking about with Atomic Blonde, I think the plotting is a little like, I guess, just basic. Like, it's pretty much like, oh, it's a bunch of, spoilers, I guess, for The Old Guard.
Oh no!
Immortal people who like fight terrorist groups, I guess. It's a little unclear as to like what exactly they do, and to what they've been doing for the past like 1,000 years. But
weren't they? I didn't watch the movie, but weren't they like Templars or something?
Yeah, it was something like that.
It's like something like that. It's like they fought in the Crusade, but it's not really clear. And also, I guess I don't really know that much about the Crusade to begin with. But yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's just like a bunch of the thing that I like wanted more of in that movie was like delving into their backstory and like what they like stuff that they did in like different historical backdrops, which they definitely get into that a little bit, which I think was like easily the best part of the movie, with like flashbacks and like somewhat extended flashbacks, but not like action set pieces in the past necessarily, because most of the action set pieces were set in the present against like just bland corporation who was trying to steal their immortal blood. And like I just think that part of the movie is like, it's not even bad, it's just like been done so many times, and like I kept expecting there to be like something there, but there's just like nothing there. It's just very obvious, like corporation evil. Okay, thanks.
Did any of you guys watch Extraction?
No.
Dude,
my parents were watching
yeah,
it.
No.
I'd walk in. I just did not enjoy what I saw. I'd watch it.
It's actually pretty great. I'm not.
I heard
gonna
the
lie.
action and like
the action is
everything.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Like I highly recommend it just for that.
Heard just shooting though. Like,
No, dude. It's like okay. If you like John Wick, I just want to say Netflix lately has been kind of surprising me with movies, because I mean there's not really much to watch anyway, and they just kind of keep pulling these movies out of their ass. Like The Old Guard, I watched a little bit because my grandma was watching it, but like Extraction kind of surprised me because Chris Hemsworth just like posted the trailer on his Instagram. I'm like, oh, what the fuck's this? And then I watched it, and I was like, that was pretty surprising for Netflix. Dude, the action is like, it's like John Wick on crack. It's like the cinematography, dude, I can't even talk about it. It's like, it's kind of mind blowing. There's some
I heard
scenes.
the cinematography and fight choreography is really good. Yeah,
it's fucking nuts. It's
I heard the
nuts.
story is kind of
it's generic, but dude, I highly recommend you guys watching that because it's some of the best fight choreography I've seen like ever. It's like really good.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I might check it out, but I don't know, maybe not. I'm not really a huge fan of Hemsworth, so.
Neither am I. I heard the same thing as Con. I'm like, I heard the choreography was good, and I'm a nut for John Wick. And then I watched it, and I was like, yep, this is John Wick level shit right here.
Sure, maybe I will then. Who knows? So yeah, that's pretty much it on The Old Guard. I mean, obviously, like I talked about how Charlize is the best. I think all of the other performances are also pretty good, and like, if there weren't a lot of like good actors in it, it would just be like a bad movie pretty much. But instead it's fine because of the people that it has in it, some of whom are like relative unknowns, and then some of whom like Charlize are pretty big. So after that, watched The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is my first. So I've seen every Hayao Miyazaki movie, but this is my first Ghibli movie that was not directed by Hayao Miyazaki. And I liked it. I don't really know what to say. I mean, yeah, it's like,
I don't think it's a movie that you can really talk that much about. I feel like it's just an experience that you watch.
Yeah, like all Ghibli movies are pretty much just like, it was like really pleasant and really fun. I mean, I guess by all Ghibli, I mean like, all Miyazaki and then also this.
Yeah.
But anyway, good. Then I watched Anna Karenina, which was like a lot more like batshit insane than I was expecting for like a Tolstoy adaptation, which I haven't read any Tolstoy. But it's like, first of all, it's like edited to hell. Like not like actually edited to hell, but like for like a, period, like something that you would expect to be a slow burn, like a Little Women or something. It's just like really quickly edited. And then second of all, like it drops you in with like basically no like context, which I feel like you sort of need to an extent, or at least like you start out feeling like you would need it, especially for something that's like, this is like Russian meritocracy in the 17th century or whenever it was. And it's like, so I have no context for this, like, because it's in Russia, so like I don't know if this is weird, and then also because it was set like 300 years ago, and I don't know if this was weird, and then also like all of the actors are British and doing British accents, so like I don't know like how much of it is coming from like the British direction, and how much of it, and how much of coming is coming from like direct Tolstoy. And then on top of that, there's like a weird like staging device where like it's staged like a play in a lot of ways, where like some scenes just like straight up take place on like a theater set, where like it's very clear that it's being like filmed in a theater, but not like every single scene, just like a lot of them. And then some of them, like the backdrops move around even when it's not like directly on the theater, but like it's Anna Karenina, like standing still, and then the backdrop like moves around her, and suddenly she's in a different room or location without actually moving. And it's just like, it's such a weird adaptation. And like, I ended up really liking it, both because of that, but also just because I think Anna Karenina is a pretty well written, I mean, I guess like story in general. Again, like I said, I haven't actually read the original, but I ended up just liking the story in general, and also the way it was adapted. And all of the actors are really good. And all, I think it's like a really unique experience, and ended up being great. Speaking of unique experiences, I guess I watched High Life next, the what do you call it? You know, Claire person movie. I forget her last name.
Is it Claire Denis? Yeah.
It is Claire
What
Denis.
a movie.
Oh yeah, it is Claire
fucking
Denis.
movie,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah. Which I ended up, I guess, liking. Kind of like Shoplifters, except this one I had like a lot more problems with, but I still ended up like liking a lot still. Honestly, my main problems with it were like, it was really intense in like very specific scenes that I wasn't necessarily expecting, which kind of turned me off. Like especially the, not really spoilers, like the masturbation scene,
Yeah.
that's what you even call it, which goes on for like 5 minutes and is just like really like intense and like threateningly lit, and like the score is just like and it's like a horror movie for like 5 minutes, even though the rest of it is like kind of a horror movie, but it's like a much more subdued horror.
Now,
just like, you know, you're alone.
This is the Pattinson movie, correct? We're talking about that
Yeah.
movie?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I just find it, yeah, I was going to say, I just find it funny how in The Lighthouse in that movie there's 2 masturbation scenes, but you know.
Yeah, no, actually that's a
With
good point.
Pattinson. With
Yeah.
Pattinson loves winking.
The High Life scene is so much more
yeah, well,
like in your face about it. It's like, oh my god!
I know,
I mean,
I
I saw this movie in theaters, and
I know.
Right.
It,
I just will never forget watching The Lighthouse and then just fucking Willem Dafoe's cum drip on Robert Pattinson's face. I will never forget that, ever.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, High Life, I guess, like, honestly, my main problems were like both what I mentioned, and then also there's like a rape scene later on, which I think is honestly like handled pretty well for a rape scene. I just like don't ever really enjoy watching rape scenes, and most of it, I mean, which is obviously true for most people, but like most of the time, I think I would literally just prefer to like watch an edited of the version of the movie where the rape scene is just like entirely taken out, and I would be like, yeah, this is like a better movie.
Pulp Fiction.
See, I don't know. I kind of like not saying that I enjoy,
No, like I understand. No,
yeah, I just wanted more of that like energy to the movie because I was
Yes.
super bored by the entire.
Sure. Yeah, and then that was my other problem was like, I'm basically like 2 hours long. It does end up getting like a little boring, mostly like in the middle sections, because I think the ending is pretty good. And the beginning of just like in media res, like he's on a spaceship, what's going on? Why is he alone? And then like it introduces it over the course of time. I ended up liking that aspect of it a lot. And obviously, Edison, good.
I'm far from good.
Okay, great.
What is that from, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, because you're talking about the rape
Okay.
scene. That's why I said
Yeah,
Pulp
yeah.
Fiction.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I
that is
recognized
Pulp
it, but it was
Fiction,
like it was the voice
Yeah, me
that
too.
did.
Mm.
And then after that, you know, I think it might have been that night. No, I think it was the next night. I was just like, you know, like I've been watching a lot of like weird, like somewhat intense movies, and I just need something to calm me down. So I rewatched Frances Ha, which is, I mean, this is only my second time watching it, but like, I don't know, one of my favorite movies now. It's just like really relaxing and calm, and just like everything about it is perfect. And it's like 86 minutes, so it doesn't like ever really feel like it's dragging on. Yeah, I think it's great to add. Okay, just a few more left. Watched Sully for the first time, which is I think my first it's definitely my first Clint Eastwood movie.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Because honestly, like a lot of them, I feel like kind of like turned off by the general idea of them, and even for this one, just like I feel like a lot of them, like you hear the pitch and you're like, okay. I mean, I know what the movie's gonna look like. I mean, like The Mule, Gran Torino, like just like every one of his movies, I feel like. I mean, like at least his directorial efforts that are like big. I feel like you hear the pitch and you're like, okay, I've seen that movie before, right? I mean, basically.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I mean, Sully ended up not exactly surprising me because obviously I had heard it was good, but I mean, like if a lot of his other movies are like sort of like this, where they end up being like intense and not necessarily focused entirely on the event, but more about like how it affects the people in his life and like him himself. if a lot of his movies end up being more like that, which I don't really think they will. I think a lot more of them are more like narrative driven. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just ended up liking the approach that Sully took, what was more about like how Tom Hanks specifically was dealing with the aftermath, even though of course it was also like definitely about the crash itself. And like how that came about and how he handled it in the moment.
It's an amazing story. It really is.
It definitely is.
The fact that like, yeah, it's crazy because my mom is a flight attendant. So when that whole thing happened, she was giving me like a rundown of like how impossible that is to pull off. Like you don't even understand. It is so fucking insane how he did that.
Yes. No, this is the other thing that I guess I was like thinking while I was watching the movie, but I like didn't even remember it until just now. It's like one of the few, well, and even just like this general genre of movie, like airplane pilot / astronaut has to handle something going badly. It's like one of the few movies that's like, okay, like I could actually like never do this job. Like, so obviously a lot of movies are like, I probably wouldn't want to do this job, or like it looks kind of weird, or just like something that I wouldn't be into. But like if I had to like become a painter or something, and if I had to devote like 5 years of my life training to become a painter, I feel like I could do it. But like, you know, like I just like, I don't think I could be like a pilot or an astronaut, which is obviously true for most people. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's why like so many people end up making movies about that type of thing. And it's great. Okay, I'll skip that one. Okay, and then watched The Wolf of Wall Street for the first time.
Let's go!
Yeah, I really liked. I'm much more on Sebastian's side than anybody else here, which obviously there's like a sort of gradient.
That's a very different, you know, I never expected that, so I'm very glad
it goes
for once.
Collin, me, Noah, Sebastian, in terms of how it ramps in the scores, if we do face value at least.
Well, I mean, I assume that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
Sebastian and I are like on about equal levels.
Well, there's definitely like different levels. I think Collin out any of us is the most critical in terms.
But I still enjoy the movie.
Yeah, like you still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I honestly thought my main problem with it was going to be the whole 3-hour thing, which I think in the final hour you definitely start to notice, like when it starts like ramping down and he's like going sober, and then like the last 30 minutes especially, you're like, I don't even know if you're necessarily like this is dragging on, but it definitely like it feels a lot longer.
I think it just lost the momentum that like the whole first half had, you know? That's why.
Yeah, it's like pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, because the first, like 2 hours or however much is definitely like very high paced. And obviously, like, because he's like, you know, on cocaine the entire time, it like makes sense that he's like, you know, both experiencing and like doing a lot of things. Just like go. Which I ended up really.
Did you like the use of Everlong? Because for whatever reason, that's one of my main turn-offs about that movie.
No, okay. Well,
you liked it?
You saw my review, right?
No, I did not actually read it yet.
Okay, well, my review was.
Oh wait, no, I did read this. It's just Devo Needle Drop. I'm confused with what this means.
Well, okay, so I guess you don't know what Devo is then, which is whatever. So, Uncontrollable Urge is a song by Devo, which is a band.
You don't know Devo, Thomas?
No, I never heard of them.
Really?
Oh, what's the other one? The other song? God, I always forget what it is. Does nobody else know the other song?
I'm not a Devo fan.
But the Devo's like the like.
Yeah, I'm not really a Devo
Whip
fan.
It?
Oh, yes, Whip It. You've heard Whip It. You've definitely heard it.
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard it.
Boom, 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 boom.
No, but like when you play it, you'll like know that you've heard it. Don't play it now, obviously.
Yeah, this band.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I know Devo.
I'm not like a huge fan of Devo, but like I really think like Uncontrollable Urge is like a really good song. And it's not in that many movies, but whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, like this is a really good song, you guys. And like I was just like thinking about that. And then like 5 minutes later, like Everlong dropped, and I was like, wow, like this is weird that like those two songs are both like within close proximity of each other, and also that they're in the same movie. Like that's, I don't know, that's just really weird to me.
I think some of the music, like Martin Scorsese very often like is so aggressively uses movie like music. Yes. It's just sometimes it's just like very often it works, and very often I'm like, ooh, nice, I like this, and very often it's just too much.
Yeah, I don't remember Everlong in it, and
it's near the end, right?
I can tell you the exact scene.
It's like
it's in the middle. He's on the yacht. Yeah. He's like sitting right next to fucking Margot Robbie, and is like, damn, my wife's got a fat ass, and then like there's a drone shot up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is like what it is. Yeah,
this was when they were right before they started going back, because like the bank situation, right?
Yeah.
I think this was
right.
Well, no, I think it was like basically like
before.
I think it was basically right when they bought the yacht.
Yeah,
Like, it's the first scene on.
I don't know. I'd have to see it again then. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
just,
me too. I don't
like
know.
for what Everlong is as a song, and like for like the tone of that song and like how that song sounds in general, it just does not work for that scene for me. It's just it's so weird and silly.
Maybe I was.
I understand that.
Yeah. Maybe I was, because I really like that song, I was just like, oh, cool, Everlong. And I just
I love that
exactly.
song. It's one of the first songs I ever learned how to play on guitar. It's just, I don't think it works in that context.
I think I'm the biggest Foo Fighters fan here, probably. So, I mean,
Probably.
of course. I love that song. I thought it was fine.
I think definitely in a lot of other Scorsese movies, it's a lot more like 70s.
I don't know.
Like
I'm not
60s even music.
I'm not going to excuse it just because I like the song, though, you know?
It is a little weird. It is a little weird. Well, see, the only reason it doesn't work, Thomas, is because the whole movie is not even set in the era that song came out of. So it is a little strange that it's there.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like for a second, I was like, "Wait, this movie like wasn't made in 2003, right?" Like I'm like 100% sure.
It's non-diegetic music too.
Yeah, that never bothers me.
I know.
Non-diegetic music usually bothers me, and I think Scorsese often has times where I'm like, okay, this is fine. But most of the time when I hear a non-diegetic song, I get kind of disappointed if it's not really utilized that well.
I really like it a lot of the time, and I think Martin Scorsese, just because like he like puts so many different songs in like a movie that is like for a lot of people who use a lot of non-diegetic music, like I think Edgar Wright. Although some of it
Edgar Wright's also a good example of a good use of non-diegetic.
A lot of his movies are literally like designed around the idea of like
for sure.
I mean, like obviously Baby Driver, but like even some of the other ones.
There's a good example of
it fits the style.
Yeah, there's a good example of where I don't like it being used for actually Trick or Treat when we talk about Trick or Treat.
What about like TA or Tarantino? Because they use a lot of non-diegetic.
Yeah, Tarantino.
Yeah, I was just about to say too. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought used it literally perfectly.
Well, okay, specifically non-diegetic lyrical music as well. So I think that's like non-diegetic soundtrack is fine, right? The score being overlaying the film, that's fine. I'm fine with that all the time. Yeah, and I can't think of that many moments where PTA uses. I should have
Boogie Nights is full of them.
Oh, Boogie Nights, that's kind of the style. That's Boogie Nights is like, kind of that category where you're talking about with Edgar Wright, where Edgar Wright just utilizes it well. I'm also not that big of a Tarantino fan in the first place. I don't love Tarantino films.
I mean, god damn, that's a shame.
I think all of them are good. I get it. I totally get it. But I mean, I think he uses music like really well in his movies. There's not one example I can think of that's bad. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think is his best in terms of that. Like the soundtrack to that movie is fucking phenomenal.
No, but what I'm trying to say is Tarantino and even PTA in the moments that he does definitely fall more into the category of also the section, like one of my favorite uses of non-diegetic lyrical music, and like one of the few times where I'm like, wow, I really love this, would be Punch Drunk Love with He Needs Me, He Needs Me, He Needs Me. But
what about The Room?
Dude,
you are my rose, you are my
no, but Tarantino definitely more in terms of him falls into the category of Scorsese, where I like his use of it way more than I think it's usually just like kind of an excuse for me to be like, I don't like this movie because of X, Y, or Z reason.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just something that it's a nitpick for me very often.
It's pretty much the opposite for me, where like I pretty much always like, even when the vibe is like way off, which I think there are definitely worse examples than Everlong. But like even when the vibe is way off, I still enjoy non-diegetic lyrical music. So anyway, that's it on The Wolf of Wall Street.
And cut.
Yeah. And I watched Trick or Treat, and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So before we started the podcast today, I went for a little bit of DVD shopping. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I bought. I got a Criterion release, but the Barnes & Noble I went to didn't have a really good collection. So I just got one. But it's the original Insomnia. Well, you can't see it. Shoot. It's cool. It's the original. Here, if I put it in front of my face, right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's the original Insomnia that Christopher Nolan later remade. So since I started my marathon recently, I thought it'd be interesting to pick this up and just see how the two compare.
Cool. I know you went with someone. Did he pick anything up?
Nah. He was just tagging along.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I remember asking this earlier, but were there any in specific that you were like walking in just that you really wanted?
Not really. I was just kind of looking. I want to get another Mulholland Drive on Blu-ray. I do kind of want to maybe get Terrence Malick's Tree of Life. That's always been.
That's one I've been really interested in for a while.
To watch. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. But once Parasite and Memories of Murder come out, I'm definitely getting those.
Oh yeah, those are two big ones.
And then after, I picked up Game Night because it was $7.
Why not? Good movie.
And I picked up Trey Edward Schultz's Waves from last year, which is really good. It was
it's really good.
Could I actually borrow
that? No. No. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No.
Look at Thomas's face. He froze.
Yeah, literally.
Hit him with that ice cold.
See, Thomas knows that feeling now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into what I watched.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I've been continuing my DC animation marathon while Thomas is still stuck.
Collin, I'm telling you, you're terrifying when you give that that response. It's just terrifying.
So anyway, I continued my DC animation marathon with Green Lantern Emerald Knights. It was pretty bad. Funny enough, it's the same year that Ryan Reynolds' live-action adaptation of Green Lantern came out.
They still have just not nailed Green Lantern, man. It's a shame.
Yeah. And then I started my Christopher Nolan marathon with Doodlebug, his 1997 short film, which is pretty good. And then I watched his feature debut, Following, which is really good. I liked it a lot more than I remembered. I actually have that one on Criterion. It's his only Criterion release. Definitely recommend checking out. It's only like 70 minutes. Yeah. Thomas, you good?
Okay. I was going to say Following is honestly my least favorite of his, even though like I still like think it's fine, but it's like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it's still fine, but yeah, I agree with you.
It's my least favorite too, but I still think it's great.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering.
I watched a movie, really interesting Amazon release called Vivarium. It has Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots. They play a young couple looking for a house, and they meet this weird eclectic.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Because I was like, gee, I don't know if he's actually mad now.
I'm telling you, Collin, it's terrifying. It shakes people to the core.
I commit to jokes.
It was quite the commitment. So yeah, Vivarium. It was really weird. They want to buy a house and they get stuck in the house. And
I was actually interested about it. Like I was gonna see it in theaters for sure.
Yeah, I would check it out. It's free on Amazon Prime. If you don't like movies that don't answer things, it might not work for you. I'm usually like that, but this had enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say
this had enough of a vision and like uniqueness to it where I mostly dug it. The ending's good. You just don't understand anything. You know, it's one of those. But I'd recommend it. I watched the Dallas Buyers Club, which was all right. It was fine. Definitely an interesting story. It's just the movie itself was kind of boring and didn't really have a.
Maybe if you had a Lincoln. Maybe if you had a Lincoln.
Exactly. Maybe if I had a Lincoln, I would have enjoyed it a lot better. After that,
I feel like anyone that owns a Lincoln is enjoying life.
What is life?
Matthew McConaughey. Is that your best Matthew McConaughey impression, Sebastian?
Well, that's yeah. It probably sounds really awful through my microphone, but yeah.
It's not awful, but.
After that, I rewatched Batman Year One, which is a really good. It's probably one of the better. DC
that's basically. I saw you commented. That's essentially what Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be. So.
Yeah,
if you kind of got that. Yeah.
If the Batman's anything like this, then that should be awesome.
That's what they're going for. They're going for like Year One, and they're going with I forget the storyline. It's a big Batman arc. It's something Halloween. It's where there's a whole bunch of villains in Gotham. They get out. They're going with that in Year One. Jumbled together.
I can't remember it either. But yeah, it's good. Bryan Cranston plays Lieutenant Gordon, which is
great. It's great.
Yeah, he's honestly the best part of it. after that, I watched this 1990s thriller by the same director who did Driving Miss Daisy. It's called Double Jeopardy. And it has this interesting premise about like this woman's framed for her husband's murder, but he's not actually dead. And so double jeopardy in the law is like if you get accused, if you serve time for something, and then it turns out it was, you can't get like accused.
You can't get tried twice for the same crime.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I had a hard time wording that.
No,
but it was really bad. Just really a well-made movie, horrible thriller. The script made absolutely no sense. After that, I watched this pretty cool little neat conspiracy thriller called The Conspiracy. It's a
surprising.
It's a
great title.
Oh yeah, it is. It's actually really a pretty cool movie. It's a faux documentary about these documentary filmmakers who start interviewing this local conspiracy theorist, and after he goes missing, they get
Alex Jones.
They get wrapped into the conspiracy themselves, and it was actually really fun. And I think filmmakers did a good job of implementing a lot of cool ideas and doing their research on these ideas too. I'm a sucker for like conspiracy theories and stuff, no matter how ridiculous they are. So it was just a pretty fun and effective movie.
Collin, I know you have a Wayfair chest in your closet.
Yeah, me smuggling the. Have you heard about that? The Wayfair.
I never heard of that.
Human trafficking. Did you just call me a human trafficker, Sebastian?
Yeah, I was just joking because you said you're a sucker for conspiracy, so I assumed you would know what I was talking
Sebastian,
about.
Sebastian, you seem pretty stressed right now. Did we touch a nerve before sentencing?
I just watched too much Infowars.com. It has.
Well, no. It's a joke because.
Great.
Continues, Collin.
Okay.
Please keep talking, you human trafficker.
That's me. So after The Conspiracy, I watched another. I rewatched a nice little sci-fi conspiracy movie I saw way back in high school. It's called Lunopolis. It's this really low-budget movie about these. I guess they're like truth seekers. They go to usually like debunk either conspiracy theories or like weird cryptid paranormal things, and they get this like information on this person who thinks that like there's this secret moon organization on the moon. They're controlling things, and there's time travel and aliens and stuff like that. And it's fun. It's not like rewatching it now. It's not really a great movie, but it's pretty admirable considering the resources they had. It's a really low budget movie, and it's pretty fun. It's like a found footage movie made into a documentary, History Channel style. And honestly, most of the performances are pretty convincing. Like I said, it's pretty admirable what they were able to achieve. Not everything makes a whole lot of sense all the time, because it does get a little convoluted with all the conspiracy theories and stuff it plays with. But it's a fun movie. I mean, I watched both of those, The Conspiracy and Lunopolis, on Tubi. If any of you guys ever want to check them out. After that, I rewatched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to get into the mood of
the good one, right?
The original. Toby.
Yes, good. Okay, thank God.
And I absolutely hated it.
Well, I'm sorry. I actually really love it. I love the second one too. The second one's fucking bonkers. If you ever get a chance to watch that,
I probably won't watch it. But I watched this a few years ago, and I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I definitely admired it. And I guess I hold the same sentiment as now. I admire it, but it's just so annoying.
I agree.
That movie I cannot stand. And
I don't know. I just find a lot of the ideas and just Leatherface in general. It just, I don't know. He's
definitely
creepy, dude.
An iconic like horror villain. And I can definitely see how this. I mean, when it came out, this was game changing and super influential for what's later to come in the horror genre, slashers especially. But I don't know. I hate the characters. It's boring.
I do too.
80-minute movie.
You might like the second one then.
Yeah.
The second one is like, imagine if like some comedian took Texas Chainsaw Massacre and made it into a dark comedy. The second one's a dark comedy. Like, it's actually like funny. It's really weird considering how the first one's so like raw and how it's just so weird. Like, and then just the second one is like completely 360'd, and it's like a dark comedy about the Leatherface family, and then like it's bonkers, dude. It's really
maybe because that was also. Go ahead, Thomas.
Oh yeah, I love the poster for 2.
Two is great.
Poster.
Yeah, I don't know, because like in the first one, the family as well was like one of the most obnoxious and unbearable parts of it. Like that finale, bar the last scene, is like so hard to get through for me because it's so relentlessly annoying.
I just love a lot of the shots, dude.
It's a really well-made movie. I love the cinematography and the setting.
I think, honestly, I know it's really iconic, but when Leatherface with the chainsaw on the road, when he's like spinning around and shit,
it's a great final shot.
A great shot. It is fucking fantastic.
There are a lot of really good scenes and really good shots. It's just the movie is really inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, so
totally agree. Give the second one a shot. Maybe
I will. I don't know. Maybe down the road. After that, I watched Trick or Treat, which we'll get to in a minute, and then I rewatched The Machinist with Christian Bale. When he weighs like 90 pounds. Definitely not as good as my memory had served, because it's been a long time since I watched it. But it's still a good thriller. I think the twist is solid. I think the progression and clues and stuff hinted at the twist are pretty good, and Christian Bale's great. It's insane that he lost all that weight.
Yeah.
The best method actor of all time, in my opinion.
Wow.
I would put him up there. But I will get into my...
that's all I did. So
my really torturous week of fucking movies. So I started off the week with As Above, So Below, which I had never really watched, but I had heard about. And I was like, I guess I'll check it out. It's on Netflix. So I watched it, and it was okay. Not really much to say about it. I thought it was just okay. I thought there was a lot of really cool concepts that they didn't really do a lot with. And then it was kind of weird because if you didn't know about the concepts that the film was trying to convey, I'm lucky that I know about like Dante's Inferno and a lot of, and like Nicholas Flamel and shit that it was like trying to go for. But like, it was just kind of confusing because they didn't really like talk about it that much, and they just kind of like threw it in to kind of give it this interesting plot. And like the first half of the movie was kind of solid, but once they got into quote unquote hell, it kind of lost me because
it gets confusing.
Yeah, I wasn't really confused. I just thought it was just boring because it just turned into a really below average horror movie at that point. Like it started off as like a Tomb Raider, like Indiana Jones type movie, and I was kind of for it.
Yeah, because it was like found footage adventure in the tombs and crypts sort of thing. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and then it just kind of turned into a really generic, stupid jump scare horror movie. And I was talking to Collin about it because I honestly thought they could have had a more interesting ending because they just spoilers.
Ending is
about this. It's stupid.
Pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, the remaining people get out. And that's it. The movie just ends. And I'm like, I was really hoping, because the way they were setting up, I thought they're going through these different realms of hell. And I thought they were going to set it up like they get out and they think they're in Paris and it's just going to be hell. And they're trapped in hell. I thought that would have been a really cool idea to end the movie, but
then again, how would the found footage be found?
I don't. Yeah, again, but that's when it comes to like. I mean, there's so many found footage movies you could say that about, like Cloverfield. I mean, how did they get that? A fucking nuke was dropped on this. You get my point.
Yeah.
Anyway, I watched The Devil's Rejects. I'm a big Rob Zombie fan. I won't flex too hard, but love him to death. And I just admire his filmmaking. I admire his music. He's one of my icons since a kid, and I really do think his trilogy of the Firefly family is really fantastic. I think House of a Thousand Corpses is iconic. It's seriously like just really amazing what he did with that movie. And then Devil's Rejects is a fantastic follow-up, and I think it's probably actually better than House of a Thousand Corpses. And then Three from Hell, which was his latest movie, I loved. I thought it was great. So really not much to say. It's really, you have to kind of be in a specific taste for Rob Zombie because his filmmaking is very weird. Like if you don't like it, then you won't like it at all. That's just kind of how I put Rob Zombie. Then I kind of got off of the rails. I watched La La Land. I was kind of in a musical mood. I think, classic. Yeah. It will be once I get there, but I think it's a modern classic. I think that's pretty safe to say. I think it's a masterpiece. And I did watch another musical. I didn't log. I watched, I don't know, I was just in a musical mood. Don't ask why. I was in the middle of these horror movies, and I was just like, you know what? I'll watch a musical. So I watched La La Land, and then I watched Phantom of the Opera, which is my favorite musical of all time. And The Stage Show is better, which I saw on Broadway, and it's phenomenal. Literally, like, jaw-dropping, amazing. And the movie's fine. It's just, it doesn't have the same...
This is the one with Gerard Butler?
Yes. I think it's good. I think the soundtrack's really good. I think Gerard Butler is, like, pretty damn good as the Phantom, but it's still not as good as the stage play. But it's fine. It's fine. All right, back to the shit.
Have you seen the 1925 one or 43?
Oh, like the original like Universal Monster? Yeah, I've seen them. I have. They're fine. I'm a big horror fan. I've seen I've seen so much shit. It's really not funny at this point. The older Universal Monsters to me, they're really iconic, sure. But I don't know. They were very good for the time, but they definitely don't hold up now. I think the only ones that to me really hold up are Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein. I think those are pretty iconic. Everything else is okay, but Phantom of the Opera, the original, it's okay. It's not bad. Onto the awful shit I put myself through. I fucking tortured myself for this horror week. I decided. I have been talking to Collin for a while. And I really wanted to watch American Psycho 2. And American Psycho is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's a masterpiece. And I know just saying that makes me seem like a lunatic, but I do think American Psycho is a masterpiece. I think it's Christian Bale's best performance. It's a great movie. I don't really need to go into much detail because I think there's a good majority of people here that agree with me in some certain aspects.
Yeah, I think Collin and I both would agree it's a 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah,
it's a fantastic movie.
I'm not that high, but yeah, it's pretty good.
So when I found out a couple years ago there was a sequel, because I didn't know there was for a while, it intrigued me. And to say the least, I don't know what I expected because I know now why no one talks about it. It is fucking unbearable.
I don't know what you expected out either of these. They're obviously.
But see, I like torturing myself, but this one was a little different because it was like they were trying to like definitively give you an answer on American Psycho 1, and the whole reason that movie works is because you don't know if he really killed anybody or not, if he's just crazy. That's the whole point. Then this movie literally starts. This is how the movie starts. Nobody needs to see this movie, so I'm going to tell you what happens because I don't want anyone watching this shit. So the movie starts off with Mila Kunis, and she was in Patrick Bateman's apartment with her babysitter, and it was one of the people Patrick Bateman killed was her babysitter, and she was in the apartment with them, and she's all tied up or whatever. So she kills Patrick Bateman, and she's maybe 12 years old or something. I don't know.
That already ruins it.
Yeah, first off, that's how the movie starts, and it already ruins the original movie and just kind of spits in the face for this woman character. And again, I don't have a problem with female leads in movies. It's just the fact that they just kind of ruined the whole first movie in like the first 2 minutes of the film. Just felt very like a big fuck you to the audience, and I just thought that was really stupid. And then Mila Kunis is fucking awful. Her voice in this movie is so fucking annoying, and her line delivery is some of the worst I think I've ever heard in a movie. It is absolutely unbearable. I was rolling my eyes the majority of the movie because
was this early in her career? Because she's
this was one of her first movies. Okay. She is awful in this movie. I'm serious. Like my ears hurt. She was so fucking annoying in this movie, and the whole plot of this movie is literally just her, and she's trying to get this TA position with the professor who is William Shatner because if she gets this TA position, she could become a FBI agent, and all she wants to do is catch serial killers. But then she just starts killing everyone that's in for the TA position. So what's the fucking point if you're trying to be anyway? Really stupid plot. Dude. Yeah, really stupid plot. It made no sense. Mila Kunis was awful. It had probably one of the worst soundtracks I've ever heard in a movie. It had this really awful like SpongeBob guitar. I swear to God. So every time. Like Mila Kunis' character would like there would be these walking establishing shots where she had really awful narration and had this like SpongeBob sounding guitar over it. And it just made no sense to the plot. And
so
then
her leitmotif was a really awful sounding guitar.
Yes, swear to God. And then there's this one scene where she's wearing a shirt and it says "All American Girl," and it's really obnoxious and unbearable.
Hey,
and,
that's the subtitle. Her shirt.
Yeah,
the subtitle.
yeah. What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? Anyway, it's definitely one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and it completely spits in the face of the original. But I'm completely ignoring it because it really does not affect my opinion of the original at all.
So how does it compare to the follow-up?
We're about to get into it. S. Darko, I have known about this movie's existence for a long time, and I really did not want to watch it, but I had to see. I had to see for myself what I just had to see it, and it is just. I wasn't paying attention. It was so fucking boring. It literally is like. There's really not much to say about it. It's just I would say that S. Darko is more of a cash grab than American Psycho 2 is, because the whole S. Darko is just like it's literally the plot of Donnie Darko just with Samantha Darko, his sister, and there's almost nothing changed. And they have a little. There's like some different things. There's like these things with like wormholes and shit, and I just don't know what to say about it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's really boring. The acting fucking sucks. There's really not much to say about it.
I know what you can say about it.
It's fucking awful.
Exactly.
That's pretty much all I can say about it.
So if you were to recommend American Psycho 2 or S. Darko,
I would recommend American Psycho 2 just because it's actually really funny and painfully awkward at points. And I think it's worth the watch just to see how bad Mila Kunis is and how far she's come, because she just did not give a shit in that movie. Almost everyone that is in that movie is literally just in it for like the money. It's pretty evident. William Shatner like doesn't care at all in that movie. But anyway, I'm gonna just continue on because I don't want to talk about it anymore. And then let's see what else I watched. I watched Halloween, which I have in my background. Again, I think it's a masterpiece in terms of horror. I think it's like the perfect horror movie. Again, it's just my opinion, but I think everything about it is like the best it could be. I think the acting's fantastic. I think the soundtrack is probably the most iconic soundtrack of all time. It's up there for me.
Probably say Star Wars is the most iconic soundtrack of all time.
But I'm talking about like horror. It's
in terms of horror,
the most iconic. But it's definitely one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time. You can't disagree with my point there. And I just think Jamie Lee is fantastic. I really do. I think her performance just feels so real, and everyone in the movie, it's just great. And I think Michael Myers is the perfect horror villain. You really don't need to know much about him. You don't really need to know anything. He's just pure evil. That's it. It's the perfect character. So again, I think it's a perfect movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think John Carpenter's a fucking genius. I don't hate any of his movies.
I agree with that. I think John Carpenter is a genius. I
love Escape from New York. I love, that They Live, or
They Live?
Yeah, They Live. Love They Live.
Have you seen They
I was
Live?
like, tripping.
I
I was
like
tripping.
I haven't seen it.
And then The Thing, of course. The Thing is
obviously
the pinnacle, I think, of his career. I think it's his best movie. And then I watched Ice Cream Man, which Thomas talked about earlier. Pretty much the same as Thomas. It was a good documentary. And I ended with Trick or Treat, which I guess we can get into right now.
You can start talking about it.
I will start talking about it because I just, I thought a nice little lighthearted, not really lighthearted, but a nice fun Halloween little movie would be a little nice change up for the cast. And I personally adore this movie when I saw it as a kid. I just think it's great. I think all the little stories and all the little tales of Halloween are really great. And, they're not all perfect, but I really do like the kids one with the school bus. I think that's probably my favorite one. And then, of course, the one with Sam. I love the soundtrack. I love the direction. I love, I don't know. It just makes me smile. I really do. I love it. It's just such a lighthearted. It's not lighthearted, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's a nice little.
It's not a
horror
pure
movie.
horror movie. It's not.
No,
like,
no. It's just a nice little. It's a nice little Halloween Tales. It kind of reminds me of like Tales from the Crypt or like Goosebumps, kind of in one movie with a whole bunch of little stories, and they all kind of connect together. And I get definitely. It's not for everybody, clearly, but for me personally, I've always wanted to make a horror movie. And Trick or Treat is definitely, I think, one of the more memorable horror movies I've watched throughout my entire life. And just everything about it, I just think it works really well in my opinion. And I just think Sam is a really good horror icon. And the Trick or Treat house at Halloween Horror Nights was really fantastic. When I walked through that, I was like a kid in a candy shop, walking around, walking through the movie. I was the same with Halloween too. I know it's totally off topic, but walking through the first Halloween movie in the Halloween Horror Nights house was one of the most terrifying fucking things I've ever had experience in my life, because I've been going to Halloween Horror Nights for like 10 years. And then when they did Halloween and they announced they were doing a Halloween house, I kind of shit my pants because it's kind of terrifying to me. And going through it definitely scared the fuck out of me, because I literally felt like I was trapped in the movie and I'm walking through the whole movie. And then there's this one part where it was like a room full of Michael Myers dummies, and then they would pop out. It was scary. But anyway, besides the point. Trick or Treat, love it.
Yeah, I agree that I think the best parts of it were probably the anthology elements and just like being like seeing like, oh, I know that character. That character was in the film earlier, and like just getting like that like little bonus.
How they all tied together was cool. I did like the ending,
it's nice
how it all came together.
Yeah, I like the ending too. I just and I agree with Sam being a really great horror villain. It's so just like kind of tropey, and just I just didn't enjoy it at like just through it moments. And one of my main issues with it as well was that during a lot of these like the sections, and I'm gonna bring up the children, the kids at the bus and all that. And this was kind of a repeat offender. I really like that section. I kind of like the story we present. I think it's handled pretty well, especially the flashback being narrated over. I think that's done very well. But when they're down there and when they're escaping, they don't like. There's so many parts in this film where they don't even try to live. Like they're getting hunted and they're getting murdered by like literal ghosts and ghouls and goblins, and they're just like standing there. The guy didn't even like try to hold on to the elevator. He was just like, "Guess I'm dead now. There's nothing I can do."
See, where you mentioned like the tropes and stuff, I don't know, that stuff didn't bother me because I think the movie was like aware of genre tropes like that, and it was just,
it is
like Sebastian said, it was just trying to be a fun Halloween Tales movie. So the tropes didn't bother me. The main thing for me is just I didn't care about anything that happened really.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything for me to really latch on or care about. I found the majority of the characters are kind of unlikable and annoying at times. And that just
obviously I think is kind of the point. But like,
it is the point, because obviously like Sam represents like the Halloween guy who kind of goes around and punishes people.
He's the spirit of Halloween.
Yeah. And so like I got it, but at the same time I was just like, ugh, I don't like any of these people. So I don't feel bad when they die, which you can argue is part of the point, but I don't know.
I just love the I forget the character's name, but the guy and the kid that's barfing with the candy. That whole fucking thing cracks me up every time. I love that story. That's a great
part specifically.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite part of an anthology. Is just like
he was definitely the most interesting.
I want to say Wilkins, but I feel like that's wrong.
No, that's right.
I think that's right.
Okay,
Principal Wilkins.
I think just any part with him was probably my favorite, especially when it's revealed that he's the vampire. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I thought that'd be a real vampire.
I was disappointed that he wasn't a real vampire. I thought that would have been.
I like how that plays out, and then you realize, the girls are werewolves. That was kind of cool. But then I mentioned earlier. I mentioned earlier in the podcast how I don't like non-diegetic lyrical music very often. And I mentioned Trick or Treat. The part where they're playing Marilyn Manson's "Sweet Dreams" over all the
I forgot about that.
Transformers or all the Transformers. Overall, the werewolves transforming, it was insufferable.
It was pretty cringy.
It did make me go cringy. It felt like it was like trying to be edgy way too hard.
Yes.
I get your point.
Really, any use of Marilyn Manson is like, like Marilyn Manson himself just like always feels like he's trying to be.
Yeah, I feel
like a way that's
no, that is literally Marilyn Manson's career in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Well,
I found that whole werewolf segment kind of cringy anyway.
That's my least favorite. That's my least favorite part.
It's definitely my least favorite.
It was like especially over-the-top performances and the sensuality of it all felt weird.
Yeah, it's definitely my least favorite.
And it didn't really do anything interesting. Like, just the only thing was like the twist is like you think the hunter is the hunted, but vice versa. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
I've seen this like twist before.
Yeah,
a lot of
well,
times.
that's what I'm saying with like the tropey elements too.
What do you guys think of the effects and stuff though?
Practical effects were pretty awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
and
good.
I was surprised to find out that it was a made-for-TV film.
Yeah, I put that in my review. This movie went straight to DVD.
Really
Looks pretty good for that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like the whole production design, all the set design, the practical effects, especially the cinematography is great. It's a really well-made movie, I think.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy to think that he went to make King of Monsters. It's pretty crazy to think about that, right? Like how he
King of Monsters was a great-looking movie.
That movie looked fantastic. I feel like, did he write King of Monsters?
No.
Yeah, I mean, then
probably not.
He just directed it. No, but like
King of Monsters looks so good.
I don't know. Like I can totally see your guys' opinion on this movie, but I don't know. For me, I've watched it. I watch it every single Halloween, and it is just, to me, there's not many horror movies. I wouldn't even really call this a horror movie. What do you think, Noah? I know you like. Did it really spook you? Like, honestly, because I know you're not. No. Yeah, I told you
there were a couple jump scares
that
right.
Worked.
I thought.
Yeah,
no, I don't know.
Honestly, the only part that I was really like engaged with on like a scare level was the last segment, the Brian Cox segment with Sam.
Yeah,
that was the only part that was like really even remotely scary, and the rest of them were more just like.
Speaking of that segment, did you guys realize that for when Sam got shot, they used a blow whistle for a sound effect?
No.
Yeah, I realized that, and it's pretty damn funny. Like, go back and watch that segment. Yeah, when Sam gets shot and he goes flying across the room, it's just a blow whistle. He goes,
okay, I think I do remember that, and I was like, "What?"
It's so, I heard that and I was like, "Excuse me, why?"
No, I really do. I adore it. It's just, to me, the perfect like Halloween movie to put on because I don't know. It's definitely like, if I ever have kids, this is definitely going to be like my first horror movie I introduce to them because it's nothing too scary. It's just a perfect little, it's a harmless movie. It's fun.
I think that's another thing, Sebastian. Like, personally for me, Halloween is not like a holiday I'm ever.
Yeah, me too.
It's my favorite holiday.
I'm not into holiday.
I mean, just this past year when we did that Halloween party, that was like the first time I had done anything on Halloween for years. So I just don't think
that's just crazy. Yeah, it's my favorite holiday.
So. I want to mention too that I feel like this is a good movie when it comes in terms of nostalgia, because you're obviously a really big horror guy, and if this is one of the films that like you watched young and like it kind of imprints on you young, then you're gonna really enjoy it, right? Because the biggest example for that with me would be Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I think I give Monty Python and the Holy Grail like a 9.
Well, I would agree with you. I would agree with you, but I'm not nostalgic for that. But I find that movie great,
Yeah. Well, but like that movie
I get what you're saying.
Really influenced my comedy and influenced all that, and I feel like Trick or Treat for you like influenced your feel on horror and all that. And so
you could say that because I have finally come up with my first horror movie. I am writing the script for it right now.
Nice, dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't love it. I really didn't like it, but I respect your opinion. I feel like it is a good movie to like. It's a good horror movie to like throw on a party too, and I definitely
absolutely
yeah. I just thought you guys. I don't know. I just thought you guys would maybe appreciate just. I don't know. It's a different type of horror movie.
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's definitely a vision to it, and like I said,
he tried. He got it made.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a really well-looking movie. It's a really
it's a cult classic. Like people like love this movie, and I'm
people go
definitely
crazy
one
over
of them.
Treat.
I mean, Sam's iconic. I don't know if you guys ever went trick or treating as a kid, but I would always see him at someone's doorstep. They used to make like the big like animatronic ones. I saw a couple as a kid.
Yeah,
so
he's a cool looking little villain.
Yeah, his little sack on his head, and then the pump. That's what I'm talking about. The practical effects. I love. Like his face and makeup is so cool. I love it. He's so cool. His little candy.
So let's wrap this up here so we don't have to render the footage too. So yeah, Trick or Treat. We might not love it, but we respect anyone that does love it. And I think that's
solid for sure.
Yeah, it's very valid to like that movie, right? Obviously, one of our main co-hosts, one of the guys that's been an OG since episode 1, loves it. So.
It's like with you in Synecdoche, New York, Thomas.
Yeah. I was about to say this is
same reaction.
Yeah, this was your Synecdoche, New York moment where man, and there wasn't even a fourth person there. It was just Collin and Jordan railing my favorite movie.
That was funny.
Well, I never actually said what I thought of it. I'll say it real quick. I liked it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it as much as you. So,
yeah.
there you go.
All right.
I'm on your side a little bit.
It's your pick this week. Let's see what you got for us.
All right. So I have two options. I'm just going to say the first one. Sebastian, did you end up actually buying that DVD of Michael Clayton?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, that's my pick. The other of you two are going to have to... Well, the other one is on Hulu, and I might choose it eventually. But because Michael Clayton, I think you can only rent. So if nobody else had it, then I would have just been like, whatever, I'll default to my other pick, which I also think is good.
I'll let everyone borrow it.
Yeah,
That's
if I can
sick,
do that for you, Sebastian, I'll meet you up somewhere. Grab it.
I got you. Yeah, dude, got you.
All right, so Michael Clayton, I think.
That's an interesting pick.
It is. I think it's a really interesting movie, and I was just like, again, like with The Fish Called Wanda, I was just like, I want to rewatch it, so I'll just choose it. And obviously, we had talked about it a little, so.
Cool.
Yeah, with my
Goodwill
hunting.
Nothing about this movie besides the little Goodwill section we have.
Yeah, that's the best way to go into it.
Yeah, it's usually the best way to go into any movie.
All right. So I guess that'll wrap up the
Great
podcast Halloween special. Check us out next week,
cast.
episode 16 next week when we review Michael Clayton. All right.